What's up, y'all? Are you from Philly? Where? Wait, talk about it. Oh my God, I grew up on 55th and Lancaster. Come on, Philly. What's up, y'all? I wrote a book. And I'm gonna drink my wine glass on stage because I wrote a book. I've been doing shows for a while. I acted in my first play when I was 4 years old. And for about like the last 8 years, every time I go on stage, before I go on stage, I like sit in the corner and rap Nicki's verse from Monster. So it would be like helpful for me if like we could all like together like scream out the line like, I'm a motherfucking monster. I'm gonna count to 3. Can we do that? All right, 1, 2, 3. I'm a motherfucking monster. Cool. Word. Thanks, y'all. That's like my like vocal warm up. You know, hits the consonants and all that. Hi, black people. Hey. Good. Yes. Thank you. Come on. We got 6 of us. We out here. I realized this when I was an undergrad. I had a lot of white friends who really liked Shark Week on Discovery Channel, and like I always felt like it was really interesting how like these like casually violent people were really into these like really traditionally violent creatures. Like I think it's like this really interesting phenomenon. Like I think about like white people and like the podcast Serial, like shit like that. I'm just like, what we doing here? What we talking about? This poem is called Shark Week. For most of my life, I thought all white people were sharks. I don't mean cold-blooded or bloodthirsty or sharp-toothed or strong swimmers. What I mean is resistant to frigid, icy climates. Example, Mom, why do I have to wear a winter coat outside? The sharks are still wearing shorts and flip-flops. Or, look at that group of sharks headed to the club in nothing but crop tops. How they not even cold. Imagine a sea of pale, chalky thighs cracking in the bony winds of winter, fissures forming under jean shorts begging for the soft caress of lotion. Once, a great white shark with waves of hair tapped my shoulder in line. Would I be a gentleman and give her my coat? The audacity of white people to not wear coats and then freeze. Out here at the function looking like a snowman just to see Aaron Carter in concert, and still, there's a whole week dedicated to sharks. It's called Shark Week. Really just a time to watch things die in their mouths. Good home training. When it is coldest, I'm always sure to cover my skin, careful to keep my blood from showing. It's dangerous, and I know better. Cool. That's the fun one. Let's get dark. So I wrote a book called Patricide, which was like a wild title, even wilder because my dad's still alive somewhere. So it's like family drama, conflict. Oh shit. The book is kind of I think about like revenge stories a lot. They're often like my favorite movies, my favorite plays. I think the book is kind of about how like the violence of the past can kind of interfere and interrupt the ways we care for people in the future. And this book is kind of tracing my relationship to violence and revenge, whether it's violence, familial violence, historical violence, racist violence, country violence, and how that can kind of ultimately interact with how I interact with the world today. This poem is called I Haven't Killed My Father Yet. I haven't killed my father yet, but I know love's brutal blade. Brown flesh turns yellow when it rots. I nurture wrath like a mother, keep it calm, babies teething. I want him dead like history. I heard a long time ago ancestors made drums with their masters' skinned rib cages. The hollow inside would echo like an endless mouth. I can't help but think of this. I can make music of his dying, can pass the instrument to my children. The beat of the kill. Revenge is a fine religion. Good God, his faithful fist. I'm a wicked son. I got my mother's stomach. He must have said, I'll never do it again, I swear. won't even think about it. My mother doesn't talk about him. Silence, a simple forgiveness. She screamed loudest when I told her I was looking for him, said my eyes were familiar. But I'm young, a better body of rage. These days, my mother tries to plant flowers. She says, just give it time, patience. That's one way to pray. I have another. I know he knows I'm coming. I'm his son. The day I was born, he fled. I chased. We're both running. This is cool because it's my first time like doing a reading from this book, like the physical copy, which is fun. It's just fucking wild to have a book and like hold it in your hand and be like, oh my God, I wrote this. Like, it's so predictable because I'm like, yeah, no, this is what it looked like on the PDF, but now I'm holding it. I'm like, this is not a PDF anymore. I don't really fuck with dogs as pets. I feel like they're not like emotionally complex animals. I feel like cats have an interior life enough to be shady, and dogs just like love unconditionally, which I don't trust. I don't trust unconditional love. My love is so conditional. And the dogs say to the cat, do they take you for walks? What games do you play with them? Yesterday we played fetch. They threw the ball to impossible heights and I got it every time. They love me. I don't see you out here. You're too small to be loved. Watch me stand on 2 feet and make this whining noise, and if I do it hard enough, they'll give me a treat, or the scraps from their table, or at least a laugh. They love me. I lick peanut butter from their skin. They parade me at dinner parties, roll over, sit, stand, fetch, speak, be quiet, good boy. They love me. I always clean my plate. And the cat say to the dog, I only purr when it suits me. At night, I climb the shelves and plot jumping claws first into their eyes. Last night, their children played a game called Kick the Cat. You won't ever catch me playing dead. I've seen this house from all angles enough to know that we are both servants here. Let me own what I can. Let them clean my shit. Nothing will forget the taste of my hair. What do I want to? This is cool. I get to just like flip pages and be like, oh my God, this is a poem. I wrote this shit. I'm gonna read it. This is cool. Yes. I can't believe you're from Philly. Why are you in Minneapolis? I can't believe you're from Philly. Why are you in Minneapolis? Okay. Okay. Makes sense. We here. We here now. Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. Cool. Yeah. No, I believe you. It's like the movie Get Out. What do I want to read? This poem is called 69th Street Movie Theater. Yes, thank you. You get the... This is wild. Yes. Okay, cool. Come on. What's your name? Karen. Hi, Karen. I'm Dave. Nice to meet you. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. You left the house. Can we like, Karen! Karen! Got me in my feels. Oh my God, I'm so happy you left the house. Yes. Cool, we go to 69th Street Movie Theater. I first understand the existence of a will to live while surrounded by black folk at the movies. A horror film plays before us. On screen, a blonde woman is home alone with a masked murderer. He lurks with a knife, waiting to spill her clean, beautiful life all over the polished tile. Of course, she investigates the scary noise. We laugh at her peril from the safety of our darkness. Don't you go in that basement, a voice shouts. Girl, you better call for help. Didn't your mama teach you better? Have you ever had to tell someone how the world works and had them ignore you? After seeing the death on enough screens, one may feel like standing and yelling, the murderer is right there. He stabs her and she dies a pretty death. A woman turns and says, I told her that she was going to die. Didn't I tell her? I want to say that you cannot tell someone how to not get murdered, that it was all pre-written. Our shouts are hitting a light projection of ears. Instead, I say, you sure did. She smiles through the end of this film. I think of what it means to have survived this long. Let me see. Okay, so this is a fun one because we're in Button. Claire Schwartz, who wrote the blurb on the back of the book and published a chapbook with Button last year, Bound? I think it was last year. Claire Schwartz, incredible poet, like most generous human being ever, was my TA when I was an undergrad, and she inspired this next poem because it's a Nick Francis based off a poem by the artist Velvet Tynes. It's called Universal Experiences. This is a quote that comes from the museum, you know the cards they put in front of artwork, like at museums? I don't know what they call it, but this is that card. The painter Velvet Tynes wanted his imagery to remain universal and not to be seen as having relevance exclusively to Black social causes or to African Americans. As a result, he refused to participate in the Whitney Museum of Art's landmark exhibit, Contemporary Black Artists in America. Draw straight black lines on sharp white linen. Right angles and boxes to separate the colored space from the clean fabric. Dry red liquid enclosed in black, surrounded by white squares on a rectangle. The body is a box. The body goes in a box. Everybody knows the names of the boys who I now assume are buried in boxes. A box is just colors and lines and right angles on fabric. There's nothing to art but imagination. Everyone has that. Think about it. The wallet is a gun. The cell phone is a gun. The hands raised and open is a gun. He reached for the paintbrush and drew, bang, a child died on canvas. I am not a Black artist. I am an artist. No, I am not an artist. I am Black. No, I am not Black. Everyone else is white. No, I am clean. The canvas is dirty. My paranoia taught me to see the color in everything. Every word has its tone. Do you think precision can protect you? A balanced stanza. Don't play the music too loud. Paint with an open hand. The world is defined before you. I can lose and find myself in shapes. The artist stands outside and draws the lines. The reader fills them. Imagine if white were a color too. Draw straight white lines on sharp colored linen. Erase the white and find the natural where we all began, like the Big Bang or jazz. First there was nothing and then everything. Oil paint on history. Imagine how it might look to step away and blend with our bright, boxed universe. I'm a poet because I couldn't be a rapper, but in my senior year of college, I had a poetry teacher, this old white dude who the first day of class came in and was like, you know what art form I despise? Hip hop. And then I spent the rest of the semester just writing poems to piss him off. So this next poem borrows lines from Walt Whitman, Lil Uzi Vert, Archibald McLeish, and what's the last song? 2 Chainz. I think there's a 2 Chainz line in here. Okay. Something like that. Anyway, the poem is called Bars Poetica, a diss track. God better be real. The nigga owes me. Spent 8 semesters whipping work in the trap. Came in the game, asking to grind, and left asking questions. Real rap? Know how many grammars I speak now? While you Greeking up the weekends, I'm getting paper, trees. While you striving for fruit, I'm dining on Henny and globed fruit. Think I'm acting out? Bet. Only thing behind a mask is a mask. I skipped your section in class, so I can't tell a Caesar from a Caesura. What are those? Got wings on my fresh verses, and I'm bringing a message. Don't act universal. You couldn't imagine how I fucked the game up. Only truth is, stay alive, get money. Now I invent myself anew every day. I'm fake as freedom. That ain't shit, and you think I got time to be grateful I'm alive? Whackness. All my friends are dead. Click, clack. They didn't pass the test of time, but you did, and now I'm sunning you, bastard. I get paid off tickets. I'm the meter man. I know my meter don't scan, but I can rewrite a myth until I'm winning. Wicked, sinning. You stressed? Don't matter. Stay mad. I left you with the crackers. I got so many names. Your mother calls me uncle. These niggas call me Lil. Older poets call me young. When I die, bury me in all marble. Marvelous, I bust open the gates of heaven to claim that final hoorah. Timeless white light coming for what's mine. The saints gonna ask who I am, and you know what I'ma tell them? That's the end of the poem. It's a cliffhanger. Cool. Okay. Ooh. Okay. I'm gonna get personal for a sec. So this is a short poem, but this book kind of came about. Hanif Abdurraqib, who's the greatest editor of all time, emailed me randomly and was like, "Hey, you had a chat book a while back. Do you want to turn that into a full-length thing?" And I was like, "What?" And I didn't know what to write the book about. And at the same time, so I haven't seen for a while, I hadn't seen my father since I was like 4 or 5, and then when I graduated college, he wrote me this kind of like bullshit letter that was like, "I've always loved you," and I was like, "You don't even know what that means." And eventually, like, I emailed him back, and I was like, "All right, if you want to do something to prove that when you say the word love, it's substantiated by something," I told him I want you to write the story of your life from the time that you met my mother up until the last time we saw each other. And I was like, I'll only accept this in writing, and if you write that, then maybe we can talk again. So like 6 months passed. 6 months later, I get this email with this like 20-page Microsoft Word document that's just like my father's life story up until the last time we had seen each other when I was like 6, which was like a wild emotional ride. And it felt wild to get that letter because suddenly the man who like I understood only through the context of him as like a violent person, there was suddenly like a complexity of understanding that like his idea of violence was also some idea of love within that, and those complexities can exist and like intentions and actions and all of that can kind of fall apart. But in that story, in that letter, he told me a story that I then wrote this poem about. I'm gonna hold this glass of wine in my hand while I do this poem. This poem is called My Father's Hands. What I didn't know was that while I was being born, I got stuck inside of my mother. The doctor had to use a cone and a tube to vacuum me into the world. The pressure from the tool squeezed my soft head into the shape of a triangle. In the weeks following my birth, my father would hold my naked body in the shower and gently massage the rough corners of my skull, almost managing to right the disfigurement. He tells me this story in a letter he writes 22 years after my mother and her baby fled his home. And now I understand that the odd head I've lived with isn't the result of genetics. It's a wound. How little I knew of all my father's hands could do. It's cool to be with Button Poetry now because Button Poetry published my like first poem online like 6 years ago. It was called Sweet Tea, and it was like this little poem about sweet tea. But it's also weird to be doing this now because I've like aged since then. So like people like who've watched that video like hear me read poems now and I look back and I'm just like, oh my God, why was I yelling so much when I was like, you know, like I was out here doing poetry slam talking about like my body, and I was like, why was I so angry? Like, what was I doing? I mean, like definitely needed to release that, but now I'm just like, nah, we can chill. Cool. Okay, we're in the section of the book right now called Father. The book operates in 3 sections. There's a section called For Father, a section called Father, a section called Son. Spoiler alert. And I'm going to read another poem from that section. This poem is called Preparing a Meal. If you follow the sink, you'll reach a stream, then a river, then the ocean, though no one in my family can swim. We'd all drown if it weren't for these 4 walls and someone's paycheck. Fear is the true animal instinct in a world full of broken hearts. In the kitchen, I wash the blood off a chicken's skin and then off my own while the red pours down the drain. I fear nature when it isn't silenced by something man-made. I don't think of where the meat came from while holding its soft skin in my soft skin. It's hard to imagine the pain of another without being swallowed by it. When I was a child, my mother would starve herself so that her children could eat their fill. You know nothing of love until you watch someone go hungry for you. Even then, what do you know of hunger? I am a good person, I think, though I need the flesh of another to make it through the long, endless day. I don't believe being a vegetarian is any better. I slice the meat of an onion and I'm overcome by the life it spills. An onion makes us weep because it loves us, though that too is a defense mechanism. I think beauty is when a person is so afraid of losing something they cry. I'm in love with reciprocity. I eat, you eat. I starve, you starve. I hunt, we live. Home is where I only fear what can break through the walls. For instance, my father hit my mother and now the door is locked. People cry when they see how meat is made until they want to eat. Then I dare you to stop an animal from devouring the whole village. Cooking is the only way I know how to care for a person. I'm old enough to teach my mother how to eat. When I make a plate, I'm saying, look, my love is so real, you can feel it on your teeth. I killed a whole family as proof. Don't cry. It's okay. We'll never be worth the pain that got us here. Before I went by Dave, I went by David, and in third grade, people just started calling me Dave, and like I don't know why, but then at some point it stuck, and it's like kind of those weird things now, like years later from third grade, I'm like, wait, do I actually want to be Dave? Do I want to be David? I don't know. I also, there's part of me that's like Dave Harris, like I like my name, but also like you can't like Google it. There's like 17 million other Dave Harrises. For a while, like if you search my name on YouTube, there was like this like white dude with like a Santa Claus beard would pop up, and he'd be like playing like acoustic guitar. But now, thanks to Button Poetry, I have more views than him. So, like I always wanted like a jazz. Like if my name was like Thelonious, oh my God, I'll be unstoppable. This poem is called David and. The story of my name goes something like this. Around third grade, the white kids start calling me Dave, just like them to make my name smaller. Have you noticed that? They'll slice even the simplest of names until it fits their mouth. And happily, I accepted the title. More than once. In high school, they nicknamed me D-Hair. It stuck like a new skin. How proud I was to be worth the space between a giant's teeth. I smiled whenever they claimed me. I snapped at anyone who used my other name. The only ones who call me David are those who have known me forever. Harris is my father's last name. Harris has English property origins. I belong to my father even though he is history. This is how a giant conquers. Fear what you are. A Harris meaning a slave to the history before me. I like to think I've made the name my own. I can't tell if I've reclaimed myself or become too numb to change. When they first came for my name, I surrendered. I'm not lost, though I wonder what I have lost. I longed for specificity. African American is so infinitely vague. I stopped believing in God because God is an imprecise metaphor, an absent father, ancestry. I am often overwhelmed by the feeling of missing. I want a myth with my name on it, victory, my mountaintop. I point at the third graders and name them dirt, stink, and rot. I point at the old white men and say burn and there is no more history. I point at my father and say, come home. Tell me what my name is. Ooh, okay. Let's do I'm trying to decide what poem to do right now. I'm also conscious of the fact that on the East Coast, Game of Thrones is like airing right now, and that has me fucked up. So, what do I want to read? I think I'll do like 2 more. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'll do that. Y'all want to hear a love poem? Cool. For most of my life, I was a little coward, and I never said I love you first. That changed a couple months ago. Yeah, love is fucking crazy. I don't even know. I mean, I said that sentence even now. I'm like, what's that sentence even mean? I also, side note, I think bumblebees are the realest niggas of the animal planet. Like it's like bumblebees like sting you and then like die trying to unsting you. I just think that's like that's some poetic ass Mother Nature shit. Like, this poem is called "Thank the Bees." Somewhere on my front porch is a beehive that I've never found. The bees fly close, but they don't land on me. I prefer it this way. What keeps its distance is never killed. I didn't see the beehive in the playground. I stumble into the hive, and the bees poked 6 bloody holes into my skin. What happens then is they get stuck. The bees pull themselves apart trying to get free. To prevent future stings, I hold a bottle of lavender Febreze to a lighter and burn the hive. The bees emerge a bursting yellow and plunge toward me, but their wings melt quicker than their bodies. I walk away, new skin growing over the stingers. And in the temporary brightness of candlelight, I traced her ear with the sharpened point of my tongue, and thus she learned all my poems by heart. In return, she says, "Dave, you have soft skin and you're beautiful." I don't know what to say besides I love you. I try to speak, but I find my mouth is full of bees. My lips part, and the only thing to fly out is bees. My breath is bees. My lungs are bees. My throat, a black tornado of bees. Suddenly, I am beautiful, and my veins are full of bees. She says, "Why aren't you talking? Are you in there?" I say, "I'm trying to think of the right words." I pull her body close, but the hair on my arm is barbed. She says, "Why do you always need the right words?" I say, "Bees." She says, "I'm leaving." I say, "Wait. Did you know that a bee's sweetest honey is just its vomit?" And she's gone. I never said love, but I could tell you how she takes her tea. I could tell you where the honey is. Cool. I'm gonna do 2 more. Cool. Okay. I'm gonna do 2 more. I'm gonna do this one because I wrote this one in Minneapolis. I spent the summer in Minneapolis in 2015 working at some theater stuff, and I made the mistake of going to a music festival without any other black people, and like homies was wild, yo. This poem is called "Telepathy at the Music Festival in Minneapolis." I understand my powers whenever I am surrounded. There is only one other black face in the audience, and we all paid the same entry price. The white man tripping on acid wants to lose his hand in my afro. I had hair back then. The white man tripping on acid wants to lose his hand in my afro. Only one other person sees this. The telepathy begins in our pupils. A whole continent of conversation with a slight turn of the neck and a focus of the eyes. She says, "I hate when these people try to touch my hair." I reply, "I know, right?" By which I mean we've always been outnumbered. Why else will we communicate with the silence of a stare? In a room that cannot hear me, I learned the language of a closed mouth, how to look someone in the eye and know nothing and everything. We laugh. She says, "White people can't dance." We laugh. The easy joke is silent. I know, right? By this, I mean I have always feared a death at hand that cannot follow a heartbeat. Surely this power must be in our genes, this heritable tremor, this atrophy of a fist, this audacity of breath. We laugh. We are surrounded. I don't know if this place was meant for me. I think I can survive in the shade. I'm gonna do one more. I'm gonna do I'm gonna do the last poem in the book. All books have an end, and I've gotten to it. It's gonna be a bummer, so I'll try to say something funny after the poem. But I'm like really, really, really fascinated with revenge narratives, and how like in every revenge narrative, like the protagonist eventually reaches a point where they have to like look in the mirror and be like, my God, what have I created? What have I done? I've become the thing I've been trying to avoid by getting revenge. It's in like every story. It's like Hamlet, John Wick, Kill Bill, like all these motherfuckers like they like go on these like crazy killing rampages, and then they like look down and they're like, oh my God, I'm a crazy motherfucker. And like I think about that with like ideas of revenge and like what it means to kind of try to be better than like the history of what came before you, but in doing that, like becoming that or running towards it or somehow choosing that memory. Because I think ultimately like anger is in a lot of ways like the choice of the memory that came before you. And I think this poem is kind of like an exploration of that sort of revenge narrative. I'm gonna steal a thing from Sam Sachs. Sam does this thing where when the poem switches sections, Sam will like snap, so that's how you know that we're in a different section. In the book, it's like you turn the page, oh my God, new poem, but I'm performing right now, so I'm gonna snap, and that's gonna be the section changes. Cool? Cool. Word. All right, this is my last poem of the night, and this poem is called, y'all know that point in the movie when like someone says the title of the movie in the movie? This is that point in the reading. This poem is called Patricide. Like a man, I lied to myself saying I would do better than my father. And thus he is lying before me. In a made bed, I crept through darkness to find him here, asleep in his new life, drool warm in his mouth, nearly at peace. On the wall, there are photos of a woman I've never met. She's not here. She doesn't need to be dragged into this. Nothing looks the way I pictured. His bed and altar, pressed neatly, square, lines for blood to run. It was no small act to track him down. I brought a hammer, common, hard, the type used to build a home. I won't dwell. His head is on the pillow, and the hammer is in my hands, raised. My mother was terrified that my father would creep through my childhood window and drag me into the night. We never knew when he'd strike, him coming back to take what he thought was his. In other words, he would come back. I had nightmares of his hands holding me and not letting go. I locked my doors. I tucked a screwdriver. I bolted my windows, but kept watch at night, looking for the man's eyes through the blinds. In the glass, I'd see a face looking back at me. Once, my mother was not a mother. Once, my father bends lilies into her hair. Once, my father decides my name. Once, my mother loves hard. Once, my father loves harder. Once, I laugh on my father's shoulders while he runs. Once, he runs. Once, rage pulled me far from joy. Then one became the other. Can cruelty be unbelievable? I can imagine so much. I am told the worst violence came years before me. A beating I never received. The scars that aren't on my back. I should be grateful he wasn't there. And yet I can't stop seeing. I dream the color red and wake to find I've pushed my own tooth clean through my lower lip. The tortured voice in my head whispering, hello. You had to know it would come to this. A dead man in his creations. A living child with work to do. But give me some credit. This is all me. This was a bad plan, I know, sloppy. But there is a reason why I am the one who is alive to tell this story. It would be a comfort to call this generational. That violence begets violence. My father, as a child, shaking, pissing his pants in front of his father who bellowed, the only thing you have to fear is me. And his father, as a teenager, sprinting, gasping for his life, a white man's dog biting at his heels, and the man screaming, don't you dare look me in the eyes. That none of these men were ever brought to light and revenge bled from one hand to the next. that I had no choice but to pick up the hammer and resume the murderous labor. But where's the fun in that? Would it kill you to know that amongst the pearls of sweat and ruby spray, I smiled? It wasn't until it was over that I realized I was the one screaming the whole time. Even dead, he looks just like me, the way all blood resembles itself. Now I know what it is like to hold someone close as blood and then see the blood. I have nothing left to imagine. My love, what a wonderful home I've built with you. Out of his blood a ripple, something new. First hands, then the crown of a head pushing through the pool. A body emerges, then another. Crawling from my father's blood comes a new line of fathers. Men shimmering, scarless and bare, released from their blood prison. They walk past me on their way out, pat me on the shoulder, whisper, "Attaboy." Now there's me, alone, in a blood-lit room. What to do. To run like an ancestor, trails of red footprints in the mud, to leave my mark on everything, to sit in the mess. So many years it took for this. Out of the blood I lift myself, father to one, the nights awaiting my arrival. I look over my shoulder, still holding the hammer. Who's after me? Woo! Word. Thanks, y'all. Grateful to y'all. Grateful to Icehouse. Grateful to all the folks back there. Grateful to Spencer. Grateful to Hanif. Grateful to all the openers. Grateful to with the guitar coming through. Y'all are great. Have fun. Watch Game of Thrones. Bye, y'all.